President Trump is taking heat from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. They're responding to yesterday's testimony from James Comey, the FBI director that Trump fired.
It is wrong for the President of the United States to tell or imply to an FBI director that an investigation should not go forward.
The president's fitness for office is something that is being called into question, and he is undermining the system of checks and balances, of separation of power.
President Trump defends himself, saying in a tweet, "Despite so many false statements and lies, total and complete vindication. And wow, Comey is a leaker." That following Comey's admitting he gave his notes about Trump to a friend to give to the media. Join us now is Jim Antle, the politics editor at the Washington Examiner. So Jim, reflecting on all of this now, we've heard from the president, we've heard from lawmakers on this situation. How do you think just the general public is reacting to all of this?
I think with a lot of confusion, because when you look at the reactions that you got from yesterday's testimony, most people seem to be very dug in to the positions that they already held. Republicans are claiming that the president was vindicated by Comey's testimony, pointing to things that he said that were consistent with what the president has said publicly. Democrats are continuing to raise a lot of concerns, and the fact is that Comey multiple times publicly called the president a liar, gave examples of why he believed him to be a liar, and did so under oath, which is always sort of politically problematic. So I think the public is probably still confused about what really is going on here.
Justifiably so, with all those different mixed messages. When you think about it, what Comey shared with the Senate Intelligence Committee, is there any evidence that shows that the president obstructed justice regarding any of the testimony or the way that he handled Michael Flynn?
There are going to be differences of legal opinion on that. A lot of it does come down to intent, and the president has even denied saying some of the things that Comey said that he told the FBI director at the time. But even assuming that Comey's testimony is factually accurate, it does then come down to a question of intent. So the people will point to the fact that the president didn't do anything subsequently, simply expressed a hope, maybe thought he was giving some kind of a character witness to an official he had just fired. But obviously, a lot of people are going to say that it was inappropriate, and then legal questions will remain, and political questions, questions of political judgment, if it's actually Congress making the decision as to whether they want to take some action based on whether they think it's obstruction.
In the Rose Garden today, Trump said, "I'll tell you about that maybe sometime in the very near future."
Right.
Do you think we'll ever get tapes or anything from the Trump administration?
A lot of times when the president says they're going to do something in the very near future, it tends not to happen. But it is interesting. They've never denied the existence of tapes. The president himself is the person who floated the idea of tapes. Whether he wants people just to think that there are tapes and is not eager to do anything to dispel that notion, or whether he is at some point going to produce tapes. I mean, it's interesting that Comey said he leaked the memo in response to the idea that the president might have tapes, which does raise some interesting questions.
A lot of questions for sure, and a lot that we'll continue to cover. Jim Antle, politics editor at the Washington Examiner. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for having me.